This is super urgent. Do not continue without listening to this whole video. Children are great by their very nature, and we have the privilege and responsibility of raising them. It can be challenging at times. Let's talk about it. Hi, I'm Cynthia Armstrong. I'm a general and special education teacher. I homeschooled my children for 5 years, and what I talk about are the things I've researched, that I've implemented, and that I feel will benefit you. Today, I'm talking about urgency. As parents, we have a lot going on. We have all the things for our children. We might have work. We might have doctor's appointments, health things, other family members we need to take care of. We've got church or religious activities or things to do, and there's so much. We can feel really urgent, like things need to happen now. And when that happens, we are not in our best parenting place. It's just doesn't go where we really want it to go. So let's take a look at that urgency. Now, we often feel urgency as parents for two basic reasons. There could be others, but there's two basic reasons. And that first one is I am going to miss out on something. And when we feel that way, like I need to get to work, I'm going to miss out on work, or I'm going to miss out on doing something that I like to do. When we get that feeling of urgency, because we're going to miss out on something, like we've got to get all of this done so that I can even get to bed. It could be like feel like very reasonable. And when we get that urgency, we feel it in our body, and it comes across in our energy and in our attitude and how we respond to others. And that's kind of what puts us in that unhelpful parenting place. And if you think about it, what is it our children might feel when we get that way? I mean, they could start feeling like, oh, that's more important to mom, or there's a condition on my parents' love for me, or, if I don't do this, then there's something about my mom or my dad, right? Our children all of a sudden begin to feel responsible for us. And that's not how the parent-child relationship is the strongest. So take a look. Are there times you feel like you will miss out on something when you really have that urgent feeling? And you have that urgent feeling, again, when you feel it in your body and you get that energy, and it might come out with, well, I told you to get your shoes already. Why are you always late? Why didn't you finish that last night? Breakfast is over, or hurry, eat that in the car. And we get all these demands. We start making demands, we start making accusations, and that's kind of the things that start happening when we go into urgent mode. Now, that was one reason that missing out on something. Another reason we might begin to feel that urgency is we might have a fear or a worry or concern about being judged by other people, or if we've been trained this way, to feel judged by our own self. I'm a good mother if my children if my children go to school on time, or I'm a good mother if the meals are ready and they get to all of their sporting or dance or other activities. And so we could judge ourselves, or we could feel that being judged by others. Oh, I've got to look good for the teachers. I've got to look good for the other moms that are also dropping off their children. Or I know that if I'm late to work, they might judge me for that. And so there's those things that go on in our brain that create that urgency. And here's the thing, these are just patterns that we've developed. Perhaps our parents taught it to us, got to be 5 minutes early or you're late, or some various other patterns. Whatever it is for you, there's all kinds of patterns that might help us to feel that urgency. And so kind of notice when you feel urgent, and then that'll allow you to begin to notice what patterns you have that are not helping you to raise the great kids that we have, and patterns that we are passing on to our children in maintaining them ourselves. And so when we look at the consequences or what happens when we have that urgency, I already talked about kind of that feeling in our body that we get, which can actually lead to poor health, not being able to digest our food well, all kinds of things if we are in that state often or stay there for long periods of time. But then it also goes to our children and their emotions and their body. Again, they might feel our love is conditional. They might feel that they're responsible for how we feel, which is just something we have used because other people have used it on us to manipulate other people into doing what we want. And so our children might be feeling that. And if you think about it, is that the relationship you want with your child, for them to do things because they're fearful, or they feel they might miss out on your love, or that you might withdraw it from them, that this has to happen for me to be able to feel safe and loved? I mean, that really, when I really started thinking about it, it broke my heart because I was an urgent person. I mean, sometimes like I pull up at the store or something and I'm out of the car and locked it and the kids haven't even opened their door yet. And my kids learned you got to open that door faster, Mom, or I have to unlock it and relock it. And what a very non-loving, non-helpful thing for my children, that oh, if I'm not fast enough, Mom leaves me behind. And I mean, that was one of my situations that I used that in. But think about your own. That one might not be yours. But when do you feel that urgency? And kind of stop and look, how do your children feel when that happens? Or what response do you see in their body? Because sometimes we'll see it in their eyes, sometimes we'll see it in the tenseness or the defensiveness or the posture of their body. And really notice, if we want to learn how to switch, not being urgent, having a reason why is so important. And sometimes seeing the side effects of that urgency that we didn't realize were happening can help us to be motivated to change that urgency. And how well do you think our children are learning when we're urgent? They're learning a lot about those things that really aren't helpful to them. But one of the reasons I had urgency in my life is because these things needed to be done because it's beneficial for my children. They need to be on school on time. They need to have all their homework done. They need to be kind to each other. They need. And I had a whole long list of things. And in my mind, there was only one way to get there, by meeting these responsibilities. But I wasn't teaching responsibility. I was teaching them to be aware of mom and cater to mom's needs so that she is a safe person to be around. But if we get rid of that urgency so that we can feel that love, that unconditional love, so that we can feel that, oh yeah, like whatever is happening, it's all good and we're going to get there. And how much more receptive children will be to the things we have to say. And that doesn't mean we don't teach children to be responsible. That's a whole nother long discussion we can have. But just to be aware that our being urgent does not teach our children responsibility, and it does not really bring forth the relationship or the connection that we want with our children. So remember, children are great by their very nature, and we have that privilege and that responsibility to raise them. Hi friends, Cynthia Armstrong here. Thanks for joining us today. Please make sure that you subscribe to our channel so you can see when new videos come out, and like this one. It is such a responsibility and a challenge to raise great kids, and we are here to help you along that journey to make it as enjoyable and fun and fulfilling as possible. Please check out our website, www.raisinggreatkids.net, and I will leave that in the description below.